Click subscribe and bell icon to get regular notifications.
Hello everyone, I am Dr. Vishwanath Reddy, consultant gastroenterologist working with the Yashoda Hospital, Secunderabad branch. Today we are going to discuss about inflammatory bowel disease. What are the aspects which general public should be knowing about? Inflammatory bowel disease as of now is an idiopathic cause, that is, there is no known etiology, single factor which can cause the inflammatory bowel disease. It is actually a combination of a genetic problem and environmental insult in a susceptible individual with altered immunity, which is known to cause this disease. So, like if the patient has family history of inflammatory bowel disease, that is either Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, he may be inheriting those genes, and along with those genes, if they are exposed to some environmental insult like some dietary insults, particularly we are having a fast food thing trend now, so preservatives and thickeners and other junk food, the chemicals in preparing those junk food are known to cause some trouble. So these factors along with the immunity of the individual, if it is altered, then they are prone to develop these diseases. So there are actually two main types of inflammatory bowel diseases, Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Apart from these two, there is an entity called indeterminate inflammatory bowel disease, where we can't classify them into either of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. And then there is an entity called microscopic colitis, wherein they'll have again two subtypes, collagenous colitis and these again microscopic colitis, they are having structurally normal colon, but they will have abnormality on microscopic examination. So that's why it's called as microscopic colitis. Compared to the other three entities which we described, the IBD, that's Crohn's disease, inflammatory bowel disease, and ulcerative colitis, and the indeterminate inflammatory bowel disease, all have a structural abnormality in the intestine in the form of either ulcers or erosions or some abnormality along with the classical symptoms which we will describe next. So the classical symptoms which patients come to us are patients develop loose stools and blood in stools and then mucus in stools. These are the common symptoms apart from pain abdomen. Abdominal pain is a prominent symptom is in patients with Crohn's disease, and bleeding is more common in ulcerative colitis. So apart from these patients also have extra abdominal, extra intestinal manifestations like presence of ulcers in the mouth, oral cavity, and skin rash, and eye symptoms also. Eyes also become red. Eyes can cause inflammation in the eye, part of the eye, which can lead to blurring of vision also. And then they also can have affected limbs in the form of arthritis, that is joint pains, joint swellings, redness in the joints, and unable to move. So apart from these, there are other rare manifestations, involvement of the bile duct leading to jaundice, and involvement of the liver, other things which are very rare, but most common presentation is with either pain abdomen or alteration in the bowel habits like loose stools or constipations and bleeding per rectum. So one thing which I want to highlight in this discussion is all patients with bleeding per rectum, that is blood in stools, need not be bile. So we usually tend to neglect that part. So if they have some blood in stool, they think it is just some heat related and bleeding to the piles and all. But this symptom should not be neglected. If we can get it evaluated, we can diagnose the disease early and get the treatment early. As of now, there is no cure for this inflammatory bowel disease, but we can control the disease with effective medication available There are tablets, there are injections, various modalities. There are medicines which can suppress the immunity because this disease is because of hyperimmune response against our own body intestine. So there are medicines to curtail or reduce the immunity and suppress the disease. So still research is going on regarding the disease, and some molecules have shown promising results, almost 50% cure at the end of 1 year of therapy. But still, I think we have to wait for a more promising drugs. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome, which should not be confused with IBD. IBD is more pathological, inflammatory bowel disease. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, is more psycho, or you can say a functional disorder where there is alteration in the intestine as well as alteration in the perception of the intestinal pain, visceral hypersensitivity it is called as. So irritable bowel syndrome basically presents to us with patient present to us with pain abdomen and alteration in the bowel habits associated with the pain, either diarrhea or constipation or mixed. There are again 4 types of this IBS, that is constipation type predominant, diarrhea predominant, mixed type, and uncertain type, unclassified type. So again, these patients have mainly these symptoms, either constipation or diarrhea, but they don't have any bleeding, they don't have any weight loss, they don't have any alteration in this appetite, they do not have any extraintestinal manifestations, and they usually are otherwise healthy, and they have no structural abnormality on endoscopy or colonoscopy compared to the IBD patients where we see a lot of these symptoms and signs. Crohn's disease is actually an inflammatory bowel disease which can affect the intestinal tract anywhere from the mouth to the anal canal. Mouth to the anus, it can form ulcers which can be deep ulcers, it can cause narrowing of the intestine, and it can cause fistula, that is communication between the intestines, and it can cause bleeding complications. Compared to Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis patients have only involvement of the large intestine. So the large intestine is affected, that's why it's colitis. Ulcerative colitis, that is because ulcerations are seen in the colon. So the main difference is the part of the intestinal tract which is involved differs, but underlying pathology appears more or less the same, ulcers in the intestine. But on deep examination of the pathology, you will find minor changes which are more prominent in Crohn's, like granulomas, which may not be seen in colitis. So, inflammatory bowel disease can be diagnosed with a combination of clinical features and lab investigations. So, clinical features, as we already described, patient presenting with blood in stools or the pain, abdomen, and mucus in stools, and then oral ulcers and extraintestinal features, which we discussed. Along with that, patient can be evaluated, blood tests, CRP, C-reactive protein, ESR will be elevated, hemoglobin will be low, they will have inflammatory markers other than CRP, ESR, you will have positive antibodies in like ASCA, ANCA in these diseases. Apart from this, we have main diagnosis on endoscopy and colonoscopy, where we see the classical intestinal ulceration, and the biopsy of which is the confirmatory thing. Biopsy of the intestinal ulcers will give us the diagnosis. So these are the main modalities. If it is not involving the tract which we can access through endoscopy or colonoscopy, we can go for a CT scan, particularly in Crohn's disease, which can involve the small intestine. CT abdomen or MRI abdomen will help in the diagnosis apart from these investigations. So risk factors of inflammatory bowel disease, so no one is excluded, anyone can acquire it. Basically, you should have some insult form of environmental factor, diet, or some viral or some bacterial infection apart from the genetic susceptibility, and the thing which predominantly causative is still not known, so it is all idiopathic. So the triggering factors are the main food, preservatives, additives which could cause apart from the infection. So these risk factors we can avoid by having proper food which is homemade and avoid all the junk food. And if you have a genetic tendency, you better get yourself screened and get the treatment done early, because if you are diagnosed early and treated early, the response tends to be better compared to when it is in a delayed stage. I would like to reiterate that these inflammatory bowel diseases can be diagnosed early if you report early, and can be treated effectively if you come early. And the current pandemic which we are facing should not deter you from approaching the medical care, because the adequate precautions are being taken for screening these patients, and we can prevent the development of or further worsening of the disease if you come early, and you are adequately protected. You won't be acquiring the COVID disease if you are reporting now. And one more thing which I wanted to tell was IBD patients should get vaccinations done, and we can prevent other diseases, because the treatment involves mainly the immunity regulation. So we have to get protection from the vaccine preventable diseases. And dietary intervention is also very important. And third and last thing is compliance with medication. The patients have to be compliant to ensure that the disease is under good control. Thank you.